Boise State is the originator of the small school upsetting the big power school. So maybe Oregon better be on its alert this week, coming off that dreadful 24-14 win against Idaho, in which they led the game only by 3 points in the fourth quarter. We got Steve Merrill on the line from wagertalk.com and join Steve right there on a regular basis. And of course, we've got Steve for his under the radar selection right here, the voice of college football, that we will tell you about a little bit later. Boise State traveling to Autzen Stadium. And again, Oregon struggling last week. And Steve?
Yeah, and this is an interesting game to talk about. Not only did Oregon struggle, but Boise is a team that's considered a dangerous, like kind of mid-major, non-power conference team this year. And the reason I say that is because this summer, when the futures odds came out, the early sharp professionals in Las Vegas and around the globe were hammering Boise State over season wins. Boise State national championship odds. Now, I don't think anybody thinks they're going to win the national title, but with the 12-team playoff, they have a good chance of being in the mix. And that's why a lot of the sharp money was backing them with some playoff futures as well. So Boise State should be a pretty good team this season. Oregon could definitely be down a notch. The Ducks did have a lackluster 24-14 win. It's always a huge red flag when the point spread is 49 and you only scored 24 points. Little misleading, though, if you look at the yardage in that game, is Oregon pretty much controlled the game. They had 487 total yards and held Idaho to just over 200 yards in that game. 31-10 first down edge, I believe. So the Ducks should have had more than 24. Defense looked okay, but Idaho, once again, not much of a test. They were a 49-point underdog against Oregon. What's interesting about Boise, though, I'm not sure I'm ready to jump on the Boise bandwagon quite yet, because Boise struggled last week at Georgia Southern. 56 points, impressive, but they gave up 45 points in that game as a 13-point road favorite. Now, it was a strange scheduling spot going to Georgia Southern, not a normal trip for Boise. They have to travel back home to Idaho, now go west coast to Oregon. So that's a bit of a concern here. They had a back-and-forth high-scoring shootout last week. And keep in mind, they trailed that game in the fourth quarter. Early fourth quarter, Georgia Southern had the lead in the game, and Boise had to score some points late to come back to win. So that might have taken a little bit out of them. My database simulation actually projects about a 19.5-point win on Oregon on average. So the line's about a point short. Let's look at the total instead. I do think the over has some value here, over 61.5. Really hasn't moved much from the opener all week. And once again, Oregon only put up 24 points, but they had almost just under 500 yards. So I think they're capable of moving the ball. And Boise State looked really good offensively, really bad defensively. I think over 61.5 might be the safest play in this game.
Steve's under the radar pick, exclusive here at the Voice of College Football, folks, is now 22-5 with a week one showing in the win column. So you may want to check that out, and you can do so right now. College football is even more exciting with some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Let's start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread. I've got a 40-year track record. In fact, in 2023, at $100 played per game, you would have netted over $9,300. And guess what? I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill, our ace in the hole, show stopper from Wager Talk. 6 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick, which went 21-5 against the spread the last two seasons. I repeat, 21-5 against the spread. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Steve Dace and Matt Zemek. Become a YouTube channel member or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2024 a winner now.